Hi everyone! Welcome to another video. I just got the Annette's Makeup Corner and Menagerie Cosmetics collab and I'm like super excited to start using it. And because it's so late, I literally just washed my face, so I don't even have like any skincare on as a base. So we're gonna have to start, of course, with hydrating my skin to prepare for laying the foundation on. And obviously I'm not gonna be able to like wear test anything today because it's already so late at night. But I'm gonna start off with my LANEIGE Cream Skin Mist. I find this to be a really great product to use for situations like this where I just need a quick touch up and it's too late for me to do skincare again, but it's also too early for me to like do my PM skincare. So it's really hydrating, so you definitely don't need much, and the mist is super nice. The sprayer is super nice, so I just spray it on my face and then I tap it in. And then after this, I'm definitely going to be using a hydrating primer. We are going to be using the LANEIGE Glowy Makeup Serum to hydrate my skin. Alright, next after that, I am also going to be using the JACLYN Cosmetics under eye primer, because I usually have an eye cream that I put on in the morning and evening, but since I haven't put on an eye cream, I'm going to be using this instead. I also found it actually works really well as an eyeshadow primer for me. I've come to realize that most eye primers kind of seek to help with, like, you know, just kind of creating a barrier between the oils of your eyes and the pigment. Well, I have the opposite problem. If an eyeshadow primer is going to dry out my lids, then it makes the shadows really patchy, so I actually need my eyelid to be really hydrated, and then the pigments will lay on a lot better. I realized that I know she marketed it as an under eye primer, and it does work for that purpose, but I actually prefer to use this on my eyelids as an eyeshadow primer. Okay, so now my skin is primed, so I really want to like have the eyeshadow be super crazy, obviously because the palette is so colorful, so I need something a little bit more full coverage than normal. So I have my HERA Glow Lasting Foundation. I've used this a couple times on my channel and I like it a lot. Alright, so you can see, especially if I get really close, you can see I have a lot of skin issues right now. Had a really stressful week, and just as my breakouts were starting to heal, I had the thing happen on Monday, so we'll get through it. Alright, so next I have this product I got off of Ulta. I've never tried anything from KIKO Milano before, but I'm constantly looking for like a color corrector thing that will actually like agree with me. So I bought this off Ulta when it went on sale. It was like $11 about, and as you can see, it's a cream concealer palette. It looks like this. So you can see it has the concealer shades, and then the middle shade has a little bit of pearl in it. We'll see how creamy it is. My biggest concern with these is that if it's super stiff and drying, then it's obviously not going to work for me. So we'll try it. So I'm going to be using the purple to color correct a little bit. You can see the purple really helps to kind of cancel out some of my discoloration. So it feels really thin, like it definitely doesn't feel super heavy or full coverage. Product lays on really thinly, almost kind of sheer. So for a color corrector, I think that that's really good, because you don't want the color to be so harsh and opaque that you end up having to use even more product later to cover up the color. Of course, I also do have that under eye primer on, and I've noticed that a lot of things that would otherwise be too drying, definitely kind of, it's a lot more forgiving with that under eye primer on, but we'll see. And I could use the green to correct my breakouts, but I'm too lazy to spot conceal right now, so we're just gonna move on. I'm gonna try one of the other shades. Alright, so this is going to be a complicated product for me. The color correcting, because it's so sheer and it doesn't pick up well on the brush, it works really well at correcting my under eye circles without actually showing up as a blob of purple. But when you start trying to use any of the concealer shades down here, which these two are actually both too dark for me, and then this is like actually super metallic. So these two are, because they don't actually conceal anything, because again, being so sheer and difficult to pick up actually works against it when you're trying to use it as an actual concealer, whereas for color correcting the formula works great. So I'm probably going to end up using the top two shades, and I'm gonna not even be able to use the bottom two shades. And this middle shade, I don't know, man. I'll see if I have a use for it, but currently questionable. So for $11, I'm not going to complain, but if anyone was going to pick this up thinking they could use the entire thing, I would say don't buy it. Alright, so I'm actually just gonna go ahead and finish off my under eyes with my usual. That was kind of disappointing. I'm kind of sad. I was hoping it would work out. I mean, the color corrector actually looked really nice though. Like, This is just with a color corrector on. I could see if I didn't want to wear any makeup, just putting on a thin layer of the color corrector and calling it a day. I want to have my under eye bags completely covered up. They're pretty pronounced lately because I've gotten so little sleep, so I definitely want them to be gone. Okay, so you can see with the color corrector plus the concealer, definitely looks brightened and covered up, so I do definitely like how it looks together. Alright, just tap it out a little bit. So what I'm gonna do, and I definitely picked this trick up from Pony and I tried it for myself and I do really like it a lot. So I'm gonna show you guys quickly how I just like kind of set my face if I need to set it so that it's matte without necessarily making myself like super desert dry. Okay, so what I do is I take a setting spray first. So right now, as you know, I've been loving this one that I got off YesStyle. It's not cheap for a setting spray, especially because I'm buying it off of like YesStyle. So like, you know, like reselling the product to me, I'm sure I'm paying more than market price. I love it. I actually do think it makes a difference in how my makeup looks too, honestly, and it like is super great and the mist is super fine. So I take this and I apply a pretty generous amount. Just don't breathe it in, and I just kind of, I let it get a little bit dry, not all the way dry. And then after my skin is almost dried down, like not quite, but almost, I'm gonna take a powder and I'm gonna just put that powder all over my face. So I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills powder today, and I'm going to press that all over my face. Now I'm avoiding my under eyes because I'm gonna use a different powder for my under eyes. I'm basically baking. But as you guys, if you guys watch my previous video, you'll know that I don't bake like most people do. And this is what Pony mentioned, that I guess I just never really realized that you could bake this way. So I just take my sponge, and it's not a damp sponge, it's just a dry sponge. So I'm just putting in as much as the sponge will hold, and I'm pressing it all over my face. Getting close to my under eyes, but still staying away, and I make sure I don't miss a single spot. And now that my whole face is covered, I'm gonna go in with a brush. And I'm telling you, I don't even wait, I don't let it sit, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm taking that right back off. And that is how I can mattify my face, but it didn't actually, I'm not baking, like I call it just like a mini bake basically. Alright, so that was for my face, and now I'm gonna go in and set my under eyes. I have definitely made enough facial expressions. So I'm still in the process of testing out the JACLYN Cosmetics Prep and Set collection. I know my review is going to be out by the time her next collection comes out because our girl is on a roll, I guess. But I want my review, as I've mentioned before, I want my review to be complete and thorough because I know anything she releases is very polarizing for very good reason. And I definitely want to make sure I am confident in my review and that I can confidently recommend her products or not to you guys. Today, I'm not going to be able to wear test it, but I did want to see what it was looking like. I'm going to be using a damp sponge to apply. I'm using this shade from her palette, and I'm using a damp sponge to apply it. And you can see it definitely brightens my under eye a little bit compared to the other one. Now I'm not using the pink shade in this palette, which is super brightening. This shade is actually pretty close to my skin tone, honestly. So it's brightening, but not super brightening. Alright, so this is what my under eyes are looking like right now. I'll turn the lights down for you guys. You can see that it actually looks pretty nice. That little bit right here is concealer. I didn't blend all the way, so ignore that. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back in and we're gonna use this again. Not as much this time. I mostly target hitting my under eyes with this, as well as my cheeks, and I kind of avoid my forehead and my chin. And I also kind of try to not get as much on my nose, but that's what we do, is we spray again. And so now I have a matte base that is going to not make me feel all sucked out and dry. I did a terrible job blending the concealer on this eye, so if it looks really weird, it's not the powder, it was me. Yeah, I like totally could have done a better job blending the concealer on this eye. It looks, I'm looking on the viewfinder, you can definitely see a difference in the quality because I used the exact same powder the exact same way, so my concealer was not done. Ignore that. Let's go ahead and work on my brows. By the way, I'm using the ABH Brow Definer. Alright, so my brows are a little bit tidied up now. I'm still trying to make this RIRE Fork Eyebrow Tint work, the one that I got from YesStyle. So I'm using the KALEIDOS Tone Activator Eye Primer, and like it's already so messy because when you first open it, product just pours out of the tube faster than you can like get it to stop. Like it's the exact same problem I had with the ABH eye primer. KALEIDOS has the same problem, so I've been like storing it cap up trying to get it to stop doing that, but in the meantime I keep on getting way more on my finger than I want. But other than that, I really like this eye primer. I think it's really nice. It's really like liquidy. It's not thick like the ABH one is. So it actually feels quite hydrating. So I think using this on top of the JACLYN Hill eye primer is really gonna, or the under eye primer is really gonna like definitely make my eyeshadow look good today. I used this once on its own without any sort of under eye primer underneath, and now that I have the under eye primer underneath, I'm really curious as to how my eyeshadow is going to perform. I do wonder if it being too hydrated will make the shadows stick. Given Annette's particular style and how pigmented I know these shadows are going to be because it's Menagerie, I'm like kind of scared, but we'll see. It's a very beautiful and simple design on the outer box. I really like it, and I love butterflies, and here's what it looks like. The cover art is so beautiful. Menagerie always kills it with the cover art and the artists they commission and stuff. Here is the inside. I've definitely opened it and looked at it, but other than that I haven't swatched it or anything. Now I know for a fact people are going to ask, and if nobody else asks, my curiosity got the better of me, so pretend people asked when in reality I'm the only one who asked this question. But I definitely wanted to know, how similar is this to Natasha Denona Circo Loco? Because like, I mean, who wouldn't want to know, right? Especially if considering that if somebody is a clown enough to have both, we might as well take advantage of my sacrifice. So I'm gonna hold these both up for you guys. Here they are side by side. Here they are side by side. You can definitely see some similarities, such as the blue and the orange, but other than that, this is much more blue, purple, and pink, and this is much more green. I was just curious. My curiosity is now satisfied. Now, do I regret having both? No, not really. So that I can use as many of the shadows as I want, because I like just want to use like everything in this palette, I'm going to be doing a two-tone makeup look where my eyeshadow is going to be different on both eyes. However, what I'm planning on doing is I am like so eager to use this orange right here. This is definitely such a unique orange. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have the mattes be different, but the key shade Monarch is going to be on both eyes, and that will tie the look together. So for one of them I was going to use the green mattes, and for the other one I was going to use the purple mattes. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the green side first. I'm going to start with Luna, which is green, and we're just going to be packing that on the eyelid. I know she's a really big fan of just really packing on that eyeshadow, and then she's like, pack first, ask questions later. So we're going to just go with that style. And I always was really scared of doing that because as someone with monolids, my lid space isn't exactly unlimited, but you know, she has hooded eyes and she makes it work, so if she can make it work, I definitely can too. I'm gonna go in with Cocoon, and I'm not really tapping off the excess too much because I want the pigment to be so opaque. Laying it down where we want it, and then we're gonna start blending, I guess. Now, I fully expect these shades to stain when I go to take these off, even if they're only on for like an hour or so. I definitely expect there to be some staining. Alright, so this is what it's looking like so far, and you can see it just looks so blended and beautiful. Definitely a winner. Like, these are some really great greens. Just gonna touch up the outer corner until it's the way that I like it. I want it to be kind of sharp. Alright, so we're gonna go in with Luna on the lower lash line, and I'm just taking it and we're mirroring the upper lash line. And I'm just kind of connecting Cocoon to my upper lash line. We have like a little bit of patchiness kind of going on right here, so I'm just gonna fix that. And then I didn't quite apply the shadow down here, so I'll just pack it on right here. And that pretty much is going to fix it. We are now going to move on to the next eye, where I said I was going to be more purple and blue. So we're going to take Metamorphosis, which is this lavender. Definitely a shade I don't see often. We're going to see how it performs. Ooh, it definitely shows up, which is amazing. Most of the time this shade's not even going to show up, and I don't even have tan skin tone at all, and this shows up really well though. We're going to just mimic the placement of Luna from earlier. Taking it up to my brow. Now I won't be able to test to its longevity since obviously I'm going to bed right after I film, but when I do my second look with these shadows, I'm going to try my best to film that in the morning and wear this all day. I'm now going to take Imago which is this very bright blue. And we're just gonna take this in the middle part to transition into the purple, which is anew. And you can see I'm not really caring about the lower blending because that's all getting covered up later. Alright, so I didn't want too much of that because I'm going to go into anew and we're going to use that to finish off my outer corner. This seemed to be a pretty dark purple. We'll see if it actually shows up. So it's not as dark as I expected it to be. It's more of like a vibrant purple than a dark purple, which is fine. Now that I look at it twice, I don't know why I thought it was going to be darker. Yeah, you can see that it's the same value. It's the same value as the Imago. So the two are actually very close in value. I would say this is kind of the trickiest one I've had to work with so far. It doesn't build as well as the other ones did, which doesn't really surprise me because it's a purple. Still not as like bad as like the OG Norvina palette. That was just a nightmare for me. And once again, once the shimmer is on, a lot of this mess at the bottom is going to be covered up and then it'll definitely look a lot smoother. So once again, I'm just mirroring what's going on. This Metamorphosis shade has just surprised me so much. I say this Metamorphosis is definitely one of the best shades in this palette. Okay, so that's what we're looking like now, so I'm gonna blend that out too. I kind of went a little overboard with how low I took it, so we're just gonna diffuse everything out. I did notice that there's just a lot more shadow going a lot higher, whereas this eye did not go quite as high. And we're just going to go back in using Luna and Cocoon to just make the eyes more symmetrical. So that just means I just have to take this up higher to the brow. I'm going to bring that in more, and we're also going to just take it up nice and high. Go back in with more Luna. And now this is the fun part. We're gonna go in with the shimmer. Okay, so definitely don't push really hard. I pushed really hard and you can see I actually pulled up a giant flake of the eyeshadow. And now you can see it came off onto my finger. Oh man, oh that sucks. I feel like I like broke the shadow. Okay, so that's definitely super loosely pressed. I'll just have to work with it. So we're just gonna work with it. This on the inner part of my eyelid like that, and I'm getting so much fallout and I'm not necessarily. Alright, we're gonna do this on the other eye. Ugh, I love how I just always cause these disasters to happen. But you can see that on this eye where I actually applied it really well, it's really pretty. Alright, I'm gonna try and pick some up with my finger. Alright, you can see it applies a lot better with a finger. Okay, so that's what it's looking like now, and now we're gonna go into Monarch, which is the one that I'm most excited for. Press, press, press. I'm not rubbing, and we're gonna use this across the rest of the eyelid. And I do know these perform a lot better with the finger, so I will go in with the finger, but I still prefer using a brush first to establish the placement. Definitely loosely pressed, so be prepared for a mess. I imagine if you wet your brush it would work fine, but I always forget to do that. I got some fallout around my outer corner, all around here, so these shimmers are definitely super flaky, so be careful. So I'm gonna go in with my finger. And I'm gonna overlap into the sunbeam a little bit more than I anticipated because I feel like you can only see the yellow, but I said I wanted the orange to really be the star of the show, so. And because there's so much fallout on my outer corner, I am just letting the shimmer carry all the way to my outer corner so we can just pretend it's deliberate. And I'll just start with this with my finger. I've used other Menagerie shimmers before, and this is definitely kind of like among the messiest I've ever used for sure. Taken aback a little bit at how messy these are. I don't know if maybe my palette was, I know these are all hand pressed, so maybe mine was just not pressed as tightly. I know that can happen. I'm not necessarily mad about it or anything, it just definitely kind of weirds me out because I don't usually have this problem with Menagerie shimmers. And you can see I got fallout into my inner corner from the yellow. So I am actually going to use the corresponding shimmer colors on my lower lash line. I'm going to use the green on my green eye, and I'll use the blue on my blue eye. I'm definitely going to use a glitter glue the next time I use this palette. I wasn't really expecting much out of this shade because it's like that icy blue I'm not a super big fan of, but on top of the Imago shade, it actually ends up looking really pretty. Do you see the effect of laying that on top of Imago? The eyeshadow is done, so I'm gonna do lashes, and I'm just gonna go ahead and pop off camera to do those because y'all don't need to see it. This video is already so long because of my unexpected little weird thing going on, so I'm just gonna do that off camera. Really quick though, I am using the Morning Dew lashes from Doe. Okay, so my lashes are on. You can see it definitely elevates the entire look, and I also put on some lower lash mascara. You can so You know, now my lashes are at least barely visible now. So we're gonna move on. So as I mentioned earlier, I kind of want the yellow and orange tones of the shimmers to be reflected in my cheeks. I think I'm gonna try first using a base of this yellow blush from Naming, and it's a yellow shade. I got this off Yes Style. I paid for this myself. Yeah, you can see it definitely gives a really pretty yellow impression. I do really want to try some of the blushes from Lethal Cosmetics. There's one that's really super yellow from them. I feel like this would look better with like a finger or something, or maybe not on top of powder especially, because I think it is kind of taking off my foundation. So definitely something to put on under powder, not on top of powder. You can see that it's taking my foundation off, but whatever. I really need the orange base, so we're just gonna sacrifice my face. It's so hard for me to like pre-plan to use cream products, so then I'll like add all this powder to my face and then I'll be like, oh shoot, I wanted to use a cream product, and then it takes off my foundation and I'm like, well darn, it took off my foundation. But like, who do I have to blame for my clownery? On both sides, it took off all of the foundation, which is so awkward. I can definitely tell this would be a product I like if I just used it right and wasn't so dumb. I think I'm gonna go ahead and use my orange blush here. Yeah, we're gonna use this blush from the Sem. It is one of their single blushers. Super, super affordable. This was sent to me in PR, and we're going to use that kind of with the yellow. We're gonna just blend the two together, and I'm gonna kind of put the yellow orange closer to the end of my face, and then we're gonna try and blend them in. I don't know, cream to powder blending is like questionable. I definitely need to look for a better yellow blush. I feel like all the yellow ones I have either are like not even actually yellow, or I don't know, I need a good yellow blush, which is why I'm interested in the one from Lethal Cosmetics. So I'm kind of trying to place the orange blush in a way that it's gonna cover up some of that damage that I did putting cream on top of powder. I'm gonna just leave it like this. I was hoping to go more intense on the yellow, but that was a fail. I'm going to be using the shade here from my JACLYN palette, and these are available as singles now, which is pretty neat. I'm gonna kind of place this consciously, knowing that I'm trying to use this to cover up where the foundation got removed. So I'm literally overlapping it with where I can see the foundation most visibly lifted, which coincidentally is where I would be putting my highlighter anyway, so it works out. So now my skin looks really super textured and awful, but that's fine. A little bit on the nose. I'm like trying to practice contouring my nose. Results are questionable, but highlighting my nose usually looks fine. I always like to put a little bit on my chin and then a little bit on my forehead. Try to make my forehead look a little bit bigger. And that's the face. We're just gonna call that done. I don't really feel like bronzer is necessary. I already have enough yellow and orange on my face. I don't know, bronzer is not really gonna help the situation, and having the blush is fine, honestly. If I look bad, if it would have looked better with bronzer, I'm sure you guys will tell me. Like, the texture of my skin is looking pretty awful because of the fact that I used that cream that took all the foundation off and created all that texture. My skin is not looking super flattering right now. My skin makeup definitely just looks poor, and it doesn't do the eyeshadow look justice, which sucks. But we're gonna move on to the lips. Alright, I'm using M Cosmetics in Fawn. I did this combination once a very long time ago, but then these have kind of just been collecting dust ever since then, so I thought it'd be fun to bust them out again. But these are the, they're like discontinued now, and what's left is like on super deep sale, but these are some Poutsicles from Fenty. I like loved these colors so much that I bought them both pretty much at full price, I remember. But what I did when I used this the last time, and this was so long ago, oh my gosh, was I put the yellow all over my lips, or the orange. I wish they'd made it yellow. I wish I had a yellow lip so I could do yellow-orange gradient lips. Now these are really pigmented, so the only downside is they can get really messy really quickly. This is like the base shade, so I'm really trying to make sure this gets widely distributed all over, especially where I overlined. So now you can see I have like a super orange lip, which is like super strange. But what I did next, which is why I like this combination so much, is I then took Hot Blooded, which is super red. I take the red, and this is kind of where it starts looking a lot better, is I take the red and I use that red on the inside of my lips. And then you can see that suddenly it looks a lot different. You can see now my lips look like this. You can see the orange to red gradient is so pretty. My final look, that was a lot more suffering than I had signed up for when I was gonna film this video. I definitely do think that I made good decisions with my blush and my lip. Definitely not super conventional or expected, but I think it ended up working really well. If it weren't for the fact that I just completely screwed up the actual technique and the application and the formulas, like that was such a mistake, oh my gosh. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed some of the tips I kind of snuck in there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this look. I will be back with more videos in the future very soon. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!